Hello, my name is Danielle Cheney. Before I begin, I'd like to apologize for not being present and to thank you for allowing me to present to you via video. My presentation is titled The Morality of War. It is a study of the relationship between psychological trauma and combat. I've examined an array of aspects pertaining to the influence that stressful traumatic events have on psychological wellness, specifically in the realm of combat. Causes and patterns of psychological trauma are examined. A small sample of current treatment options is mentioned. Finally, several examples of potential preventative steps that could be used to educate troops and provide them with proper coping skills are listed. Every day, American men and women are driven to join a fight in the name of our country. These warriors are ill-prepared for what lies ahead of them. Few realize that the frequency of mental trauma has by far eclipsed that of physical injury. Brigadier General and World War II historian S.L.A. Marshall commented on evidence, what he referred to as the dilemma of discarded weapons, suggesting that a staggering percentage of troops make an effort to avoid killing their enemy. This pattern is especially evident in close combat situations and will be discussed later in the presentation. Combat is currently one of the primary traumatic events causing PTSD in our society. Close-range combat can be damaging regardless of who pulled the trigger, but it also allows the soldier to verify immediately if it was their weapon that inflicted the mortal wound. It requires killing on a personal level. At close range, the victim's face is visible, allowing troops to watch as their bullets tear through the flesh of their victim, or to witness an IED as it explodes beneath one of their brothers in arms, taking his legs or even his life with it. These are real and constant possibilities for military personnel. In fact, 98% of those who engage in close combat will endure some sort of psychological problem. The dilemma of discarded weapons mentioned previously provides physical evidence of the strength of man's natural resistance to take human life. 27,574 muskets were recovered from the Battle of Gettysburg. Approximately 12,000 of these weapons were loaded, and 6,000 of these weapons were loaded 3 to 10 times. PTSD and other combat-related psychological casualties are relatively new additions to the medical scene. Why has there been an increase in psychological casualties? During the 20th century, exposure to combat began to lengthen and change, involving longer and longer deployments. This lengthened exposure time, combined with more stressful combat zones, has contributed to the rise in psychological casualties. In 1946, Swank and Marchand found evidence suggesting that longer deployments may be detrimental to the health of our military personnel. After an average of 50 days in combat, most soldiers reach a state of emotional exhaustion. Combat exhaustion is reached after only 30 days in combat. These stages mark a rapid decrease in efficiency and, more importantly, safety. This can be dangerous in combat situations, making the soldier a liability to all involved. Warfare has even changed over the past 10 years. Currently, troops in the Middle East are faced with constant stress unlike that of their predecessors. Today's battlefield requires constant vigilance. Not only are there IEDs hidden along roads, but women and children are sometimes used as suicide bombers, and soldiers may conceal themselves amidst civilians. These changes usher in a whole new breed of psychological challenges that can cause a variety of mental disorders. There are numerous disorders associated with combat trauma, too many to be covered in this presentation. Next, we will briefly discuss the causes of psychological trauma, especially in combat. We will first examine a model proposed by Lieutenant Colonel Dave Grossman. Grossman alters the fight versus flight model to include two new options, posture and submit. Grossman makes these additions because he believes that the fight or flight model was created considering only conflicting creatures of different species, and that when faced by fear, the human mind often reverts to animal instinct. Sociologist Robert K. Merton implemented the concept of anomie to create a model of human responses. Anomie describes public confusion and unrest caused by rapid social change. All social structures have acceptable goals and means to reach these goals. According to Merton, people respond to anomies and strive to reach their goals in 5 different ways: conformity, innovation, ritualism, retreatism, and rebellion. These models illustrate surprising parallels when examined more closely. These parallels show how predictable human nature can be. An example of these parallels is clear when comparing Grossman's fight response to Merton's response of conformity, which is when the individual conforms to society and accepts both the goals and the means that are set as standards. To make this parallel, a soldier choosing to fight is following orders, conforming to what is expected from him and those around him. Therefore, Grossman's fight response is analogous to Merton's conformity response. These patterns in human behavior recorded by researchers in different eras from different fields of study are trends that can be utilized to establish types that individuals may fit into in a similar manner that the Big Five traits are used to identify personality characteristics. There are numerous treatment options available for disorders resulting from psychological trauma. We will only briefly discuss 3. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, is one of the most successful. It involves gradual exposure to stimuli similar to that associated with a traumatic situation in hopes of achieving desensitization. A second technique is EMDR. Eye movement desensitization reprocessing involves presenting an image to the patient that he will associate with the negative traumatic event. Eventually, the patient is taught to focus on the positive event instead of the negative event. This process has been shown to be effective in desensitization and restructuring cognitive connections associated with psychological trauma. The last option, removal from combat, may seem obvious. This is vital to treatment, but it is not always possible. I have several proposals that I feel could decrease the effects of psychological trauma on our troops. We should take preventative and preparatory action by educating our military as soon as they are recruited. This process could begin as early as recruitment, using patterns suggested by Grossman and Merton. As it was alluded to earlier, a similar method to personality testing could be developed to prevent unstable individuals from joining or to provide insight about how they should be educated and potentially treated if they return home with some problem. Screening would certainly not be 100% effective. Education could be both preventative and preparatory. For example, boot camp would be an ideal opportunity to begin psychological wellness education. Towards the end of their training, troops could be taking classes providing information on signs of poor mental health and how to deal with them. They could be taught how to help those around them as well as how to cope with their own problems. Allowing combat veterans to act as mentors is another option that could be therapeutic for the veteran and educational and even eye-opening for younger troops. Of course, when all else fails, we must be prepared to support and treat our wounded warriors. In conclusion, morality is what often drives many men and women to join the armed services. Ironically, this human value is often a major contributing factor to the psychological disorders that too many of them return home with. Today's enemy is devious and ruthless, and they are what the American military and its allies will continue to face well into the future. The military is constantly developing tactics and procedures to counter the evolving and conventional methods of modern insurgent warfare. Similarly, effective and responsive programs to develop pre-screening, preparation for combat, and medical treatment protocols should be undertaken to better cope with the resulting modern psychological issues facing military members. The growing number of combat veterans currently experiencing such issues should provide a fertile field of data and experience as a basis for these programs. Thank you.